with Dola, man. Yo, bro, is it just me or does everybody look the exact same? Like I walk around and I see everybody literally wearing the same fit, same shoes, especially these new slides that just came out. Everybody wearing the same shit, same brands. I'm just like, bro, y'all have no originality at all. Like you just want to be like the next person. But that's besides the point. That's not what this video is about. This video is about, what is this video about? This video is about the 3 versions of you. Because people don't realize that there's 3 versions of you. At any given moment, there are 3 versions of you that you could be thinking about. 3 versions of you that you could be living for. Now let me explain what I mean. You have the past version of you, you have the present version of you, and you have the future version of you. The past you is anything that isn't in this moment. So 5 seconds ago when I started this video, that was the past version of me. The present version of you is anything in the moment right now. In this moment, that is the present version of you. And then the future version of you is any time after this current moment. So now that you know that, what can you do with that information? You need to treat each version of you very differently. You need to know how to act according to, and each version of you needs other things. Each version of you needs something different. So let's start off with the past version of you. The past version of you needs for you, the past version of you needs you to live in the present. The past version of you needs you to not blame the past version of you for things that you've done in the past. The past version of you, all it wants for you is for you to let go. It wants for you to let go of the things that you did in the past. It wants you to learn from things that you did in the past. And it wants you to focus on the present moment. That's all the past version of you wants. The past version doesn't want you thinking about, oh, I should have done this. Oh, I wish I did this. The past version of you doesn't want you living in regret. Doesn't want you living in denial. Doesn't want you living in a state of anger with yourself for things that you did in the past. So the past version of you is the simplest one to please. To please the past version of you, all you have to do is live in the future, not live in the future, live in the present, and don't hate on yourself for shit that you did in the past. So that's all the past version of you wants you to do. Now the present version of you, this was the hardest one actually. I'll leave the present version of you to the last. So the future version of you. The future version of you wants you to do things in the present that will allow you to live a better life in the future. That is what the future version of you wants you to do. So let's say you start smoking cigarettes. The future version of you wouldn't want you to do that because in the future version of you is the one that's going to have to suffer the consequences of that. Most things in life don't affect the present you. Most things that you do in life will affect the future version of you. The future version of you wants you to take care of the present so that in the future life is easier. The future version of you wants you to have everything figured out now so that in the future you don't have to think about all those things. The future version of you is the hardest one to please. It's the hardest version of you to please. Because why? Because of the present version of you. Because the present version of you wants you to do things right now that will help you right now. The present version of you wants that instant gratification right now so that they can feel good right now. The present version of you is very selfish. The present version of you is the most selfish version of yourself, and most people are always living for their present version. Now, that doesn't mean to live in the moment. That doesn't mean not to live in the moment, but that means to live in the moment while also doing actions that will not hurt the present version of you. I mean, the future version of you. So, the present version of you is selfish. The present version of you, when you're living in the present version, most people, that's when they're doing drugs, when they're smoking cigarettes, when they're, playing video games all day, when they're just not doing anything that will affect the future, or doing anything that will help them in the future. Instant gratification, living in hedonism, that is all things that serve the present version of you. The present version of you doesn't really want what's best for you. That's what you need to understand. Because the present version of you is the one that gives you those urges to, oh, I want to go do this right now. Or, oh, I know I shouldn't be fucking with her, but I want to go fuck with her right now. All those things that give you instant pleasure are the present version of you. And you need to keep the present version of yourself under control, because doing all those present instant gratifications are hurting the future version of you, which will eventually be the present version of you. So if you get into the habit of always serving the present version of you, in the future, when your life is bullshit, you're gonna keep serving the present version of you, and it's an endless cycle of you compounding into a worse and worse future you. When I do things, I always think about, is this gonna help or hurt future me? Because right now, I'm in a stage of my life where future me, I need to make sure he is good. If you're like 50 years old, then yeah, you could probably just serve the present version of you. But if you haven't done enough to make sure future you was good, you should not be serving the present you. You should not be thinking about past you. You should be thinking about how can I make the future me, which will eventually be present me, happy. Present you was very selfish. So you need to control that, and that's fine. That's everybody's present self is very selfish. You just need to control that. And if you're in a stage of your life where you have a secure future you need to be thinking about, I need to make sure future me is good. How can you make sure future you is good? Working out, not taking drugs, having goals, ambition, surrounding yourself with the right people. And all of this, and doing all this for present you will serve future you better. Because in the future you will thank yourself. Future you is extremely grateful. Future you could be extremely grateful, or future you could resent you. Because right now, your future you has already been made. Every single time you do something, your future you is changing. So as of right now, if you're on your shit, then your future you is good. Your future you is good. Your future you is thanking you. Your future you is like, yes. But if you're not on your shit, if you're doing all the things, like I said, that serve the present you only, your future you is already shit. Your future life is already made, and you're the one that, you're constantly changing how your future looks every single time you take an action. So your future you is either thanking you right now, or it's resenting you right now. And the choice is up to you whether which one you want it to be. Remember, 3 versions of you: your past you, your present you, and your future you. Unless you know your future you is good, you need to focus on serving your future you. If you know your future you is not yet secured and good, you need to stop serving your present you. But if you got to the point where you've already set up everything in your present to where your future is going to be good, then you can start serving your present you. Don't live backwards. Your past you wants you to forgive you. Your future you wants you to make sure that your future you wants you to do all the right things now so the future is good for you. Your present you wants you to serve your present you and wants you to do all the things that you shouldn't be doing. Your present you is instant gratification. Your present you is hedonism. So until your future you is good, you cannot live serving your present you.